Hi, I was asked to do this vlog and I figured I would just do it on the fly. I wasn't really going to think about it or nothing like that. This is April and this is Cesarean Section Awareness Month. I was asked to actually do this vlog because I'm on both ends of the spectrum. I've had 2 children, completely natural, and then I had 2 children cesarean section. So I said, yeah, I would do this vlog because who better than somebody that's already been through both sides of everything. With my first 2 children, perfectly normal pregnancies, nothing went wrong. My oldest son, he was a postponed delivery, which means I got the shots because he was a little bit early. I got the shots and it stopped the labor, so it was no big deal. And he was a little overdue, and it was still kind of scary because he spent quite a bit of time in the fetal position, and it took a little bit of therapy to make sure his legs and everything were going to stretch out and they were going to work like they should have. I guess it was to be expected, but I was a very young mother. I was 16 when I had him, so I didn't know what to think. So I just put my all into it, and I made sure that everything got provided for him that should have been there. And then my second child, he was natural too. He was a 17-hour and 20-minute labor. I had the epidural, everything. I didn't feel anything progress, but it was. I made a phone call to my mother, let her know that the doctors thought it would be a few more hours. I felt pressure, and I told the nurse that was changing blankets and stuff that, hey, I felt that. She called another nurse in, and apparently when she checked, Isaac was looking at her. So he was basically already out. It didn't take much pushing, and he was on my belly. Now, when it came down to my third son, Bradley, there didn't seem like there was a whole lot of complications through the pregnancy. It was a very healthy pregnancy. And as everything progressed, my doctor noticed that his heart rate was falling. And then it would pick back up, and then it would fall again. So my doctor sat beside my bed the entire time just watching his heart monitor. And finally, my son flatlined, completely flatlined. He's unplugging me from everything and not telling me what's going on. I didn't know he flatlined. I had no clue. But he's taking everything off the machines, calling nurses. Next thing I know, people are surrounding me, taking me out of the room, and I'm in a whole nother very cold room. They put a mask over my face and tell me to count backwards from 10. I was out. Nobody even told me that this is what was happening. It was such an emergency, and I had no clue. I woke up not realizing time passed or anything. I looked at my mom because she was who was beside me, and I had her hand in a death grip. And she let me know, honey, the baby almost died. You almost died with him. But he's okay now, and you are too. And I seen him for the first time a little bit after that, and he was so gorgeous. He was just so beautiful. If it wasn't been for that procedure, I wouldn't have what I have with him today. He's 11 years old now. I would have never had that with him. That procedure saved his life because he was basically gone. He was basically gone when they took him out of me. They resuscitated him. They brought him back to life so I could have that boy in my life. I couldn't be any happier. They had to resuscitate me too. Like, my heart had stopped. I didn't apparently agree with what was everything into the medication. My body couldn't handle it. So not only did they resuscitate my son and make sure I had him, they resuscitated me too and made sure he had me. If it wasn't for that cesarean section, I wouldn't have this boy. He's been one of my clutches ever since he's been born. He's been my sidekick ever since he was born. Not to say I don't love my other two sons the same, because I truly do. They're my babies. But knowing what this little man had to go through just to be with me, it's a different bond. Now, count up actually, to 11 years later, I got pregnant with his sister, which you all will meet because you heard I was pregnant in earlier vlogs on this channel, that I was pregnant. Well, Harley ended up being a cesarean section too. Sure, it was planned, only because I had a cesarean with Bradley, and they tend to repeat that. But she was an emergency case without realizing she was. Now, this is why I tell everybody, okay, you think a cesarean section makes a woman less of a mother? No, it does not. Sometimes it makes you the biggest mother and you never even realized it until it happened. I might have been able to have her natural. At first, I went into labor with her when we were 26 weeks. But she fought that off. She stayed. She went like a goddess warrior, stuck her ground. And I was so proud of her. By the time we hit 30 weeks, I've been in labor for 4 weeks already. Like, so much pain, so uncomfortable. But I'm a fighter myself. I am not going to let that show. Well, by the time we hit 30 weeks, I had bleeding. Everything was uncomfortable. I knew I was in labor. So we went ahead and went to the hospital. We laid there all night in basically active labor. And then all of a sudden, the labor plummeted. Like, it just didn't seem like I was in labor anymore, even though I felt it. It wasn't reading anymore. And the doctor said, okay, well, we're going to send you home. We're just going to let you labor at home. No, I wasn't comfortable with it, only because it didn't feel right. But by the readings, it looked right. And he's like, okay, before we send you home, I'm going to check you one more time. And he checked and realized that I was still dilating, even though it wasn't reading as far as the contractions, because if you have contractions, you dilate. But it wasn't reading anymore. Well, when he decided, okay, we're just going to send you in, you're getting the C-section done. You're dilating, it has to be done. And I wasn't reading contractions anymore. They started the C-section, which, mind you, they didn't move the overhead light, so I got to see the whole thing, and it was beautiful. Oh my God, I got to see her be born. And most women that get a C-section never get that chance. I got to watch her be born. And it was so beautiful, I just wanted to cry. But I overheard the doctors talking to each other that they're picking her up out of my uterus. And they're going, oh my God, her cord is tied in a knot. Thank God we got her out. My baby could have died if I was sent home to labor. If she could have suffocated and died. For all you people